I saw Peter Piper on my favourite childhood TV show that shaped my life. It was the show that mesmerised me. Peter Piper was the special guest on the Ron Lucas show when I was 13 years old, and that was in 1988. It made such an impact on me, and I was invited to the studios in Teddington to see a rehearsal of the show. I got to see Jeff Felix, who organised it for me, and puppeteered Ron Lucas's characters. Jimmy Tamley, the ventriloquist that taught me, drove me there. It's where I met Felix Bonus, the TV warm-up man for the show, John Fisher, the producer, Brian Rogers, the choreographer. And then I met Ron Lucas.
Let me out here right now. Let me out. Hey, Ron, who?
That's my childhood right there, in the box.
Mine do, actually.
I saw Peter Piper milling about the set and had to meet him. 20 years later, it was bound to be exciting for me to accept a contract on Chroma Pier for a summer season with Peter himself. I found this interview on BBC Norfolk during that summer and recalled talking about those early days.
It's Roy Waller, BBC Radio Norfolk on a Friday afternoon with the weekend started in Wendlin. They got an early start apparently, sorry about the rest of you. Now the Chroma Seaside Special is well underway, playing to big audiences and a warm welcome to top performers, ladies and gentlemen, Peter Piper and Steve Hewlett. How you doing, guys?
Very good, thanks.
We rushed.
You did?
To go here.
The Russians will never invade Norfolk because they won't find a place to park the tanks.
Plus the dual carriageway, there's none.
They'd have to just keep moving, wouldn't they?
Yeah, straight
We
in the
can't
North
park
Sea.
there. Move along, come on.
This is your first actually year at the pier, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very first time at the pier. And like I said to you when we first did our interview, it's Brigadoon. Everyone's so polite. It's even the dogs queue up for a pee up the lamppost. It's one of those places whereby everyone is just so jolly nice. It's sandcastles with little Union Jacks sticking on it. It's this little bit of Britain without, like doing the Britain. It really is jolly nice.
The fact is, too, that the pier, of course, is just renowned for the seaside specials, and you must be pretty proud to have been part of that as well.
It's actually quite good. I didn't know how much of a history it had until I happened to, perchance, see the images that they flash up on the screen prior to the show. And I went, blooming heck. But it is part of history, and how the hell it manages to stay up on those spindly legs and not come crashing down is incredible.
But the good thing is you got the lifeboat at your end.
I know.
I always ask, it gets rough, you're there first, baby. You get the rest.
Well, it was George Melly that just said that. Do you remember that? Was it me that said that to you?
No,
George Melly about the Chroma Pier?
Yeah.
He said it's the only pier in the world where when it's bad weather you can feel the waves bashing against your piles.
Have you tried a Chroma crab?
I have. Yeah, me and Steve did, didn't we?
We did for lunch once.
Yeah, you're still scratching.
Is it crabs that go sideways or lobsters?
Crabs.
Oh, I got lobsters, well done.
Well set up. Since I've come to Chroma, I've dug back into the past of all these things that were way old hat. Well, you don't do Frank Spencer and Basil Fawlty, but it's just welcome with open arms. And with the psychology of Basil Fawlty, you can get away with being downright cheeky. Insolent to the audience. I can say, like when Stevie's coming on, I'm telling him to, sod off, and there's a young singer coming on. No, not you. Go on, just go away.
Because Basil Fawlty is the best you've ever seen. So, when I'm on the stage, I'm being told to get off the stage. It's like Basil Fawlty is telling me to get off, so I do what I'm told. But, he does him so well. He looks and sounds perfect. You had a nice compliment, didn't you, from the man himself?
Yes, yeah. He said, jolly good. You'll never earn as much as me, but keep trying. Yeah. So, but Stevie's a good foil there for him as well, because he's there to be bullied,
Yes.
personality.
Steve, you were there last year, weren't you?
I was here Christmas, yeah, but with the Tucker, and we had a great season here. That's the last time I spoke to you, I believe. Yeah, it's good to be back. We're doing a completely different show.
How did you two meet, by the way?
It was by, perchance, he was a kid who absolutely idolised ventriloquist. Go on, let you, it's your story.
Yes, the Ron Lucas show was over in the early 90s. The American ventriloquist was Squat to Dragon, and me and my family religiously watched in front of the TV every week. Peter Piper was a special guest on that every week, and we used to sit there and watch Peter and Ron Lucas do their banter. He was a special guest on there. So I'd known Peter, obviously, for 17 years ago, I used to watch him. And I had a photograph taken with Peter, which on opening night of this show, I presented him in a frame with it. So he didn't remember the meeting, obviously, but I remembered him because I watched him every week. So we actually met 17 years ago. So I've been a fan of his since. And so when I found out I was working with him, I took the season based on the fact that I did enjoy Christmas. But as well, Peter was actually going to do the season, so I was looking forward to it.
I couldn't believe it when
and he's not let me down. It's good.
Oh, bless you,
It's
man.
been good fun.
It's so boring, this interview, isn't it? He said, no, I love you. No, I really love you.
Don't even mention me.
I'm sorry, bro. But it's when these people were saying, the producer said, oh, he's taking the season. He jumps at the chance to work with you, thinks you're magic, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I don't know the guy. I'm sorry. I can't act it. I can't act it at all. So when I met this chap, and everyone said, oh, he's a lovely guy. And there's an opera singer staying at my house up in Manchester. And he said, oh, I've worked with him. He's a smashing guy. And he thinks the world of you. I said, what is this, Steve? You? And when I met, and it's because of that, you know, you never get a second chance at a first impression, and you reap what you sow and all that business. It's not as though I go around with a halo and a tambourine or anything like that. But if you just spend a bit of time with some folks, I never realised that the impact it has on later years, like when they come up to you and they say, flipping heck, you were really nice.
Eyes and Teeth. We had time to catch up, and I found out that he went to LA after the Ron Lucas Show series ended, and I found out what filled in some of the gaps. Times are hard for entertainers who especially need that adrenaline to function. I'm one of those, but the creative ones find peace and fulfillment elsewhere. And Peter found this through a blank canvas and a paintbrush. Welcome to Eyes and Teeth, Peter Piper. I'd like to welcome to Eyes and Teeth a very special guest. I've done a summer season with him. We'll talk about this. Please welcome Peter Piper to Eyes and Teeth. Hello.
Stephen, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm hanging on in there. I feel alone, but I know that I'm not the only one who's alone.
Yeah, it's something we all have, isn't it, Peter? And it's what we are hoping that we can all come through together. We kind of are, as people getting through it together, aren't we?
You know, it's hashtag be nice. You can't always be in possession of that psyche, so to speak.
Yes.
Because things will eventually get to you, and if you put enough hamsters in a little cage, as docile creatures as they are, they kind of get cheesed off with each other. But we're not really allowed to mingle. Why people should I think people just get uptight and annoyed because of their isolation. I know that I'll be honest, I get down.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I get down. So if there's anybody listening who thinks, oh, I'm having a crap day, trust me, I promise you're not alone.
Yeah, and someone who was on the stage, you know, making people laugh, and we'll touch on this later with your artwork. You make people smile so much with your creative style, you know, with your painting, your comedy, and your acting, and you really do create happiness within people. But even those people that create that can get down as well. So it's a very important point. Yeah, so we all need each other, basically, and that is important. So it's great to be talking to you, though. I love that song. We should open with that, actually. I have duetted with you, funny enough, and it was Me and My Shadow. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Actually, it wasn't me. It was Arthur Lager with yourself.
It was. It's very, you know, it almost became rather poignant, didn't it? We got really polished at that. I mean, when you're doing it.
I remember the last night.
5 times a week, or was it? Yeah, because we had 1 week doing one show and another week doing another show.
Yeah, 2 shows in Chroma. Show 1, show 2. Yes.
And it worked out really good.
Oh, it was so nice. I really enjoyed doing that bit, even though I wasn't in it. I wasn't in the spotlight then. That was Arthur Lager's part. But
but then you don't have an ego. A lot of people in the show business tend to have an awful lot of ego. And they're the first people who get bored with the conversation if it's not about themselves.
Oh, yes. That reminds me, it's not about me or Arthur. This is about you. It's Peter Piper, and it's the reason why you inspired me so much. Where do I start with you? I know that where I'm going to start was when I was 13 years old. You were on my favourite TV show at that time. It was 1989, was it? 1990, I believe.
Oh, your memory's better than mine. I just remember us doing Ron Lucas, but the story...
Yes, yeah.
If I can tell it, is because my agent said, this guy really wants to work with you. He's followed you and everything. dear, he's a stalker. He said, he'll only do a summer season. They want him there, but he'll only do a summer season if you're in it. I went, what? And I went, oh, does he want a pair of underpants or something like that? And
I got them on the last night, remember?
that remained a secret. But then I remember it was on the final week of rehearsal. You went, I've got this picture, and he gave me this picture of me with my arm round a 13 or 14-year-old skinny kid in the studio. And I forgot about that day.
Yeah.
And it was you
I
who
hadn't.
told me
Yes.
how in awe you were that someone had taken the trouble to take you around the studios, because the person who you went to see was quite obviously busy at the start of the show. And Ron, I think it was one of the runners or one of the assistant directors who said, do you mind taking this kid around the studios? I went, no, but I can't remember it. All I know is that how precious, and this sounds what the world, but I love kids. I love the unspoilt, this white sheet of paper that comes in with expectant eyes, and they're like a sponge, and you never ever realise just how much of an impact you can make on a child.
Yeah, they never forget that moment, you know. That's.
Well, I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did. You know, like
You don't forget my voice. You do my voice really well when I was 13. Do it again. You...
I did, and it's like I know that there's something that the listeners won't know, because it's between you and your sister.
That's the one. That's it.
You have to explain it afterwards.
Yeah. I've always had a kind of a squeaky type, feminine voice, I think, you know, most of my life. But yeah, you got it down to a T. That's it.
I beg to differ, Stephen.
Yeah. But so this show was for Thames Television. You made a huge impact on my family's viewing, because I can still see my mum and dad rocking backwards and forwards. You remember the dysfunctional family, my parents? They were rolling back and forth to your chaotic antics. And
well, that's only because they were in rocking chairs.
they are now. And so it was such a wonderful sketch that you did each week with Ron, where you performed gags and you were dressed as different characters each week. I remember particularly a Gremlin, James Bond, RoboCop, Tommy Cooper.
Yeah, I was the only one on the show that I didn't bloody recognise.
Oh, it was just brilliant. And you're Basil Fawlty, and sometimes you even played yourself, didn't you, Peter? It's just...
Well, I can't remember doing that. They just had me dressed up each week. My memory is short. I just can't remember a lot of stuff, because there's that much stuff going on in my life.
Yeah.
But sometimes, even at, dinner parties or when you're with people, when you used to be with people in a club or a pub or a gathering, I'd have to be mindful to keep my mouth shut, because otherwise you get the person who says, oh yeah, I've done that. Oh yeah, I scuba dived off the Great Barrier, and I did, and I skydived, and I windsurfed, and I did that.
Yeah.
Otherwise it becomes, shut up. So there's an awful lot that's gone on in my life, which I guess I don't recall that much, which I should be grateful for and try to recall. But
Yes.
life, like anything else, is something we seem to, a lot of us take for granted.
Yeah, sure. I'll have to try and jog your memories. I mean, if you're about to write your memoirs, then it'll be kind of difficult. But I have found that when I start writing from scratch, and if I'm trying to remember something, it does trigger something else, and the story links onto another story, So can you remember at all, a young Peter Piper? Can you remember where your inspirations were, or when you first started to do impersonations?
It was stereotypical. It was a class clown, because I couldn't play football or fight. I turned to the class clown to stop me being bullied, and it was one of those cases of eat or be eaten, and it was the law of the jungle. It was simple. It's simple as that, Steve. Really.
Wow.
My inspiration. Everyone says, "Oh, who's your inspiration?" I like great, honest. I like honest comedians, honest performers.
Yes.
I don't like the ones that make out as though it's spontaneous and not.
Who would you say would be an honest comedian? And
Billy Connolly, for sure.
Oh yeah, wow, definitely.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I have a great respect for Eddie Izzard.
Yes.
We met when years ago in the West End, and we were rehearsing it. And I just sat next to this guy. I didn't know who he was, and because he had no ego.
Yeah.
Has no ego. And he said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm doing this." I said, "You're already here?" Yeah. I said, "Oh, my wife, she dragged me to see you." And he said, "Yeah, a lot of people have done that." And I said, "Crikey." And he eventually said, "What are you doing here anyway?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing big guys." He said, "You're the chap that played Spencer." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I really like that. How did you do?" And he completely turned the tables on me. And he was interested in me.
Wow. That's nice. Yeah.
So either that or he didn't want to talk about himself. So I ended up talking about boogie nights, and then at the end of the lunch, and he had to go. It's as simple as that. And I always wished that I got his autograph, because I just think he's phenomenal. But as you know, with comedy, it's all subjective.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Ice and Steve.
You're so good at your accents, and I know you speak Dutch and German. Do you still speak Dutch and German, or did you learn a small part to do some acting?
When I did before the Ron Lucas show, I think maybe before you were born, it was I had my name in lights in Blackpool, and these German people came to watch me do this sketch that I did with a gorilla in the cage. Remember that?
Oh yes.
And this is very funny. You should. We would like you to come on our show. So I went on the show, and I didn't speak any German at all. I lived in Holland, so I spoke Dutch, but Dutch is like a derivative from German, the Germanic.
Yes.
With a bit of a class lesson here, where everything in Europe is derived from Latin, and the Germanic is the base language of which the Dutch, the Netherlands are proud. They talk, but they don't understand. They can understand Germans, but the Germans can't understand them. And with the Latin of Italians, the Italians don't understand the Spanish, but the Spanish understand Italians because the Italian is like the base language. Anyway, you can edit that out.
Oh wow!
With the show, I went on there, but I went to Thailand and I met this German guy. He was just a nice chap. So I said, "Listen, I'm doing this show, Vervlickste Zeven." It was called, on a Saturday night, and it went out to about 18 million people, from Austria, Tyrol, Bavaria.
Okay.
And it was a big show. And so I did, instead of coming on as David Attenborough, the African gorilla. I came on and said, "Ik word in een etwas over een Afrikanischen Gorilla erzählen. Darf ik Ihnen hier die Tochter van King Kong vorstellen? Oh, Entschuldigung, ich meinte den Sohn." And so I said, etc. And I got absolutely nothing. I walked off to the sound of my own footsteps.
Wow.
And it was like starting the comedy circuit again. And I remember at the after party, nobody spoke to me. And it just reminded me that everybody loves the winner.
Do you know for sure that you said the right thing in German, or did you insult the audience?
Of the right stuff.
Yes.
Because I'd inquired about it,
Mm.
and people said, yeah, that's great. So I went, "Oh, okay, well, I'll do it like that then."
Yeah, it should have worked.
It just got absolutely nothing.
No.
And then these two guys came on wearing massive paper mache heads to this tape song, "Look for the bare necessities of sin," and everyone was in absolute ruptures, laughing. And so there you go.
Yeah, they say the Germans don't have sense of humour, but they love mime. They do have...
Oh yeah,
Yes.
But the biggest laugh I got was when I was leaving Dusseldorf, because I got flown into Dusseldorf, got paid a ton of money, and these customs, and they said, and I had this massive, it was a huge box, bigger than a coffin and wider, and they said, "Was ist in das Handtasche?" I put in a hand case, and they said, "Was ist in das Tasche?" And I said, and I just looked at him, I was so pissed off, and I said, "Eine afrikanischen Gorilla." He went, "Was?" I went, "Eine afrikanischen Gorilla." And he said, Abfahrt the Tasse. Which open the box. He wasn't having any of this crap. So I opened the box, and he went, Oh my God, Peter, sitz, kommen Sie, schnell, here, an American. And the change in temperature in the room went from like sub-zero to tropical. Oh, and they thought it was brilliant. Yeah, do my vote. So it was, that was the only laugh I got in Germany.
I know by watching you in Chroma in 2007 that I just watched your different spots and your accents. They're all spot on. You really must have trained right early on to do accents, or did it come natural?
I think it's natural, really, Steve, because there is a lady, a lovely lady, that I met afterwards. She said, "You've got impersonation Tourette's," and I have. And she could hear me, and I wasn't aware of it, but she could tell if I was talking to someone from Scotland or from Northern Ireland or from Wales, because I don't do it out of Mickey take. I'm fascinated, and I feel an empathy, I guess, with people that like, I suppose, I like, because...
Yeah. Sometimes you get that mirror talking, if you're in Norfolk, you start doing the Norfolk accent when they're talking to you, and it's a natural...
that's real slow though, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, there you are. I've transformed you to Norfolk.
But then when I lived in the States many years ago, LA is it's a horrible place. And I remember this guy, and he said, "Hey, do you want to get out of LA?" And I went, "Yeah." He said, "I'm opening this club in Georgia." And we left LA and just drove parallel to Route 66, because a lot of it's decimated now.
Yeah.
But we went through hard riding, and we ended up somewhere in Arkansas or something like that in a truck stop. Now, Forrest Gump had just been showing on the films, and I was like full of laughing like a box of chocolates. And we stopped in this truck stop. Now, this is where the truckers wore the caps the right way round. Ginger beards, big check shirts, country western music playing in the background. This woman came up to our table. I'll never forget it. And she had a big beehive, support tights, white pinny, black skirt, little ankle socks, pencil tucked in her hair, chewing gum. And she said, "Hi, boys, how y'all doing?" And instantly I just went, "I'm pretty good. How are you?" Right? Well, she looked across at the bar, and the music went down, and I could feel these truckers all staring at me.
Oh.
And this woman, she never even, she eyeballed me. She actually, just with one eye, looked me up and down like that, and then looked across at Glenn real slow, and she said, "He a Confederate or a Yankee?" And I swear to God, after it's over, 225 years old, the American Civil War, and they still have this.
Really?
Like us and the Germans, big deal,
yes.
But
wow,
it was, and I was doing it. No, it's really, I love your accent. Didn't get it. Not gone down in a lot of countries.
No, wow, they don't get that. No, they don't mind if you do it in Norfolk, do they, or in Suffolk?
No, they love it because it's English psyche.
Yeah.
With America, as Noel Coward said, we're two countries separated by the same language. So we are.
Yes.
We're two countries separated by the same language.
That's amazing.
They just don't get it. And I remember Glenn said, "Come on, we're going." I said, "But I've not had my grits. I ordered grits. I want to eat some grits." He said, "Forget them. Forget the grits. We're going." I went, "Okay."
You grit your teeth and leave.
Grits.
Yeah.
They're out there. I swear to goodness. You think these are films, but I saw people wearing the dungarees and the big trucks and the little Ford open back trucks with all the kids. I said, the big South, things like that. It goes on, but people don't know about it, so.
When you were describing the story of the lady and everyone stopped, I was picturing a scene from a movie. It's exactly what you picture, and it sounds like that. I
could hear dueling banjos. I could.
Yeah.
I could. I'm telling you, it was weird. And Glenn, he said, "Come on, man, we gotta go." I said, "But we great." Said, "No, just leave them. We'll go."
Wow.
I don't think we left a tip.
Well, you didn't get your grits in the end, did you?
Nope.
But
nope,
Did you go back to Hollywood then? 'Cause I know that you studied at the Renegade Acting School in North Hollywood.
I did.
Was that a couple?
Done your homework.
Yeah, you done a couple of years there, did you, Peter?
Well, it was only because I'd managed to bullshit my way into acting, because comedy-wise, I just was not going down. They just weren't getting me. You know, as I say, I've gone down so badly in so many countries, I've lost count. But I just went in for a commercial, and he wanted a John Cleese lookalike, because at that time it was a fish called Wanda, and everybody wanted John Cleese, but nobody wanted to pay for him.
Oh, wow.
So they got me to come. Well, I auditioned in this place that I got kicked out of because my acting was that bad. The agent was told off by the caster to say never waste our time by putting this person in front of us again. You know, and I remember saying to my manager at that time, I said, "They're doing a John Cleese thingy." She said, "Get in." I said, "But what you have to do, you have to make yourself known, and you have to bring your CV in and your picture, and they invite you in at a certain time." But I'd not been invited in, so I just walked in. I think I used Graham Heywood, which is my real name, instead of Peter Piper,
right,
which was the name that I was using. And nobody checked. And I got this part because everybody wanted John Cleese, but nobody wanted to pay for him. And it was a Pactel commercial. There was awfully nice people at Pactel. And eventually the phone exploded, and ha ha ha. And this caster saw me, and she said, "Oh, that guy's really funny." And it was to this agent that Freya, my manager, knew. And she said, "I know the guy." She said, "Get out of here." I said, "No, I know the guy." And I got the chance to audition for this thing where it was Tarzan. And I played an actor trying to act like an ape man, thinking I knew better than this, this Philistine.
Yes.
And ended up getting into a lot of trouble in crocodile-infested waters, and Tarzan coming saving me, and me going, "Gee whiz, shucks, wow, you were right." And at the end of it, without telling the director, I gave Tarzan a kiss. And this Wolf Larson, who played Tarzan, said, "Did I to touch you that?" I said, "No." He said, I don't know if we should keep that in. And the director said, "I love it." And it's actually on film. So I kissed Tarzan.
Really?
Yeah. And so after that, somebody said, "Oh, it's good." And then I got the chance to read for Arthur Small in a thing called Acapulco Heat, which was shot over 22 episodes in Mexico. And then I started doing voiceovers for Disney and Paramount and Warner Brothers, and I thought, I better start. I'm faking it here. I better start learning what other people are doing. So that's when I went to the Renegade Acting School, and
okay,
you just learnt certain basic stuff which I didn't know, because as we're all aware, knowledge is power.
Oh, contributional.
For an actor, you need skills really to give you the upper hand in securing an acting role. Some actors lie, about can you horse ride, and they just say yes, and they've never been on a horse, but they do it to get the part, don't they? But I've got a list of things here that you've got, and it must help in getting parts, like body popping, cabaret dancing, singing, contemporary singing, playing the guitar. You're so sporty, and I know this of you, that you love to kind of be in your own space, and you relax really by paragliding and mountain biking, free diving, scuba diving, skateboarding, swimming. I know that you love your swimming in the sea, because you did it in Cromer, water skiing. These are stuff I don't even touch. This is crazy.
Well, they're all individual sports.
Yes.
And I've only tried me hand at paragliding, and then I ended up buying a paraglider and just being just working up to an elementary pilot level. So I'm not one of these guys who, people think you jump off a cliff. You don't do anything of the sort. You just go on an escarpment and you wait for the wind to give you some uplift, and you do that like that, and you gradually gain height. So I suffer from vertigo. So there's no way that
really?
Serious. There's no way that I'd jump off. But I remember taking it to Cromer with me, the paraglider. The wind was never in the right direction. There was one day, it's like Tom Hanks out of Castaway. All of a sudden the flag turned, and the wind blew onto the land instead of across it. And I raced back to me digs and got my paraglider. And, went to the golf club. Remember the golf club?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And I managed to take off and land on the beach. It was only a short hop.
We went back to the theatre that night on the pier, and I think you said, "What did you do today, Steve?" I said, "I think a couple of us opened a fete or something, or I just went and had a crab sandwich." What did you do, Peter? And you said, I hang glided off the cliff." So what? You landed on the beach, and so you were always doing something really. Do you remember the sports day that we had in Cromer? That was great fun.
That was great camaraderie, wasn't it? A real team builder. But we had Andy, the dancer, to think of that. He was kind of like the social glue for everybody.
Yeah, Andy Young was great, yeah.
Remember when we used to play bingo afterwards? Because there was nothing to do.
Yes, yeah.
There was just nothing to do, and we got told off by the council for gambling. I went, okay, then we won't. So we just give them an IOU for 20 quid if they won the jackpot.
Yeah, we just had a free beer, didn't we, in the end? And that's yeah. I remember I bought this game that was it was like I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, and you had to eat loads of bugs. Do you remember doing that? He was crunching these little crickets.
Honestly, it's like wartime Britain. There was nothing to do, was there?
No.
I mean, the excitement there was watching the chemist shop window display. It changed every other week, and we've got other things in the window now.
Masks, just different masks. Do you ever perform as an impressionist or comedian? Did you perform in any summer seasons or holiday parks in the 90s, or did you do any of that groundwork?
Yeah, I did a long season in Bognor Regis in Butlins. Or was it Butlins? I can't remember.
Okay, Butlins, yeah.
It was at that time when I started to do Five Alive, and I remember them flying me in on a helicopter after I'd just come back from a charity football match. And wow, did I feel like, what an ego massage that was. Everybody waving at me as I landed in.
Wow.
Peter Piper's coming down, and it was just a great buzz. Great buzz.
Oh,
but
amazing.
Hey ho.
Yeah.
You don't live on past glories. You got to move with it. I remember working with one actor who'll remain nameless, and he had all these pictures up in his dressing room of shows that he was doing in the 60s and like displaying stuff, and I find that really rather sad because I
just like to move forward.
To remember the stuff. Just try and move forward if you can.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about your future, but I've only written down stuff that you've done here. No, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
It's like glory days.
Yes.
No, it's nice to reminisce with people that were there, but it's not. It's a bit boring to start regaling everyone with the same story.
Yeah. Saying that, you worked at the West End as Tommy Cooper. Can we talk about that when you were directed by Simon Callow to do that? And I know you were so passionate about the Tommy Cooper sketch because you did do that as well, and it's so brilliant.
Well, they ended up giving that to Jerome Flynn because he was a profile and I wasn't.
Yeah.
But I was directed by Mr. Callow, and he was a wonderful chap who would he'd greet you every morning. Said, "Good morning, Peter. How are we?" I said, "Fantastic, thank you, sir. I knew that, but how are we?" And he was he was a wonderful fellow that did a great job taking Cooper apart and putting him back together again. But I got the part originally because it was the pathos in the dressing room when he was by himself, as in when we are all by ourselves and not performing for the public to see, this happy face. It was this thing where it was wonderfully written, and he would reminisce as he was preparing props for his show, and every so often he'd be interrupted on a tannoy, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, Mr. Cooper, 10 minutes, and then it was like, overtures and beginners, Mr. Cooper, overtures and, I better go, I'll see you later, and then the Sheik of Arabic would play, and it was wonderful. It's just the props were, just fantastic, circa 1960s props, and Jeffrey Holland was the magic consultant on that.
Oh, was he? Bless him. Wow.
He was phenomenal. and we got a lot of them from Davenport's, and ironically, the son of Davenport's magicians or Davenport's magic shop at Charing Cross, he only lived up the road in Cromer. Do you remember when I'd go up and see him and get props
that
off
was
him and stuff
Roy.
like that?
Yeah, Roy Davenport. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
of course.
really nice, diminutive. But then a lot of magicians aren't they?
Yeah.
Very diminutive. You
Yeah.
know, they are
I love
more
that
of
world. Yeah.
a watcher. You know, when they're on the stage, sure, but a different animal. We share the same arena, but completely different animal.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you really delighted the Cromer audience with your Tommy Cooper, and you I think you done about an 8-minute set, didn't you? And you really were Tommy Cooper, weren't you? You weren't playing a part. You really went for it.
You played to the market because it was considered rather old school to do someone of the 60s, 70s, because they said, I don't know if Ali G's going to go down well. And it was like one of the best ones, and Ali G had been going 10 years then.
Yeah.
You know, so it's really avant-garde for Cromer, but you've got that marketplace whereby people they're very appreciative. It is a time warp, though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think it's probably the last. It's definitely the last Pierce show, summer show, and Christmas show that actually happens now. It's
yeah.
But you say that the audience is just so loyal, as well, and they did get everything you done. They got the Tommy Cooper, they got the David Attenborough with the gorilla cage. That was so wonderful.
That's always very strong, and with an English audience, they just so get it.
Yes,
and it's so visually strong. And I performed that in the Natural History Museum.
Did you?
I actually came down the steps in the Natural History Museum, got paid a wad of money just to say, the same thing again, the African gorilla. And it was uproarious, and it was in wonderful setting with that massive big Tyrannosaurus Rex in front of me, or the bones of.
Ah, incredible.
And,
in the moment.
And then I just departed, and after about 10 minutes, and then got paid, and hey-ho. But the same set absolutely bombed in Germany, pardon the pun.
Did it?
It just didn't get anything. So, but it's afforded me a lot of good TV, that gorilla.
Yeah, such a great visual that was. He's still trying to work it out, how was that gorilla holding him, you hear these little old ladies at the back saying, look at these two people, how was he lifting him up like that? And
I know there's so many people have said, I used to correct them, but then I stopped, because so many people say, he must have been strong, that dancer, to lift you up. And I say, no, it was me, blah, blah, blah. But eventually, you just got to let people burst their own bubble and be economical with the facts, because otherwise it's a bit of theatre magic that if they want to think that, let them believe that without disrespecting their intelligence.
Yeah, sure. You don't want to ruin the illusion, do you?
No.
Oh, confusion.
No, working with you face to face on stage was daunting for me, because not only was I in awe of you, but you as Basil Fawlty, you were Basil Fawlty, and I couldn't see Peter Piper anywhere. So when you came up to me, and I was doing a little ventriloquist spot, and you would walk on as Basil, and the laughs would come, I'd ignore you until I saw you there. And then you would bring and you've got the proper wig, the proper moustache, the suit, the face. I don't know how you did it, but you were Basil Fawlty. You were John Cleese in this, but you had to put your face directly close to my face, and you grabbed the scruff of my neck, and I really believed I was in Fawlty Towers. It was incredible. But how did you have to study him for long to get that character? Because it's
I remember I couldn't do him at first, and it was the way that I did it, anchored it on one word. And that was right. And it was literally building up an armament of inflections, which then enabled me to speak more like him. but the
just
demeanour,
moulding to him.
a lot of it is in the way that you hold yourself, and because I've got deep set eyes, and the the height, I guess that's why I got away with it. But it is, I believed it, and it's like, as any actor would tell you, if you believe it, why shouldn't anybody else? It's like children when they're playing cowboys and Indians, or doctors and nurses, and they're saying, careful with that, it's sharp. Don't, because they believe it. And you get a bit conscious, as adults out of the business that maybe don't act, they become conscious, but acting, I guess, teaches you to be and not question anything about it. Just be.
Definitely.
It's difficult to explain because I'm still learning loads. And as with any acting, I did an audition over Zoom, and you just have to think to yourself, I'm not what they wanted, not because I was crap, I'm just not what they wanted.
Yeah.
And you have to do it like that.
Yeah, sure. You have to fit that role, don't you? Really, but they know what they want, don't they? And it's
they do.
Yeah.
That's why you'll see some people and they'll say, "Flipping heck, that's terrible," but it's obviously what the remit wanted. And remember, there are people in very responsible positions that might not. I don't know. Might it's all subjective. They might not want that look.
Yes, sure. But we saw you only 2 or 3 years ago. We saw you as Tom Ridley in Coronation Street. That was a wonderful to see you in there.
Oh, bless you. Thanks, mate.
You had a lot of support, didn't you? We really just loved seeing you on the screen.
Not one jealous comment or anything like that.
No.
It was really, really good.
It's a wonderful part.
So I was very grateful to get that. I'm still praying that the storyline might come back, but no, I'm not. You become a realist rather than a foolish optimist.
Sure.
So I remember afterwards saying, you know what, I can die a happy man, because my mum, if she was around, she would have seen me. And
Corrie was her thing, was it?
Yeah.
I understand.
And my daughter, I remember looking at me saying, "Dad, you've got a meme." I said, well, yeah, great, wow. I hadn't got a clue what she was on about.
No.
So the other 5 minutes of fame there on a couple of episodes that I did.
It's wonderful.
Ice and Teeth.
You've always kept busy in pantomime, haven't you, Peter? And you've done so many for Hugh Talent, Phil Dale. You've worked with Cannon and Ball, but you've worked with Shane Ritchie quite a lot, haven't you?
Oh yeah, and me and Shane, it's a mutual respect. It's a trust, as you know, Steve.
Yes.
That has to be earned when you're on stage, because when you're on stage, metaphorically speaking, you're naked, and you can see if someone's out for themselves or not. And it's that trust which transcends anything else. It's like it's nothing like being in the trenches, but you have to be there with that person, knowing that that person's got your back on the stage.
Yeah.
And that trust is built up between me and Shane, because he rang us up and said, it was only a couple of weeks ago, he said, "Flipping heck, we should be finishing tonight." And he said, "I've just been looking through the posters. We've done about 8 or 9, at least 10 pantomimes together, and it's been lovely." And I did a couple of pantomimes in a summer season with Tom and Bob, and I've been asked to, God rest his soul, Bobby asked me to, he was always very complimentary with a painting, and he asked me if I'd doing a picture. I said, yeah, give us a call. And he didn't, and he died, and
That's a sad loss, isn't it, mate? Really is, with Bobby.
It's a sad loss with a lot of people, mate.
Yeah,
you know, it is a sad loss with a lot of people. Normal people that are dying are very good as well, because he went through the rack, did Robbie.
Yeah.
He went right through it, and in his own admission, he wasn't a nice person, and then he found God, and I saw that change, because I knew them when they were not nice people, and the biggest enemies were themselves. And when they found that peace with God, because they found that faith, and it's something that I'm not a tambourine banger, but it's something that I'm looking at, because what's the point of being here if we don't have some faith.
Yes.
Yeah, love is everything and all that business, but what is the point, what's the point of existing if you think that you're just going to die?
The last time we worked together, the last time I saw you, well, we had such a great time. We went for dinner, and I come to watch you work a couple of times. It was on a cruise show that we did, and you stormed every show. Standing ovation, the houses were crying, rocking in the aisles. It's your skills and your accents again. Ultimately, they got you into trouble, didn't they? The audiences loved you. But if you get one complaint on a cruise, and then I've had
I got
it.
Sacked, I got sacked from P&O because the blooming snowflakes.
Snowflakes, yeah.
You show me a comedian that's safe, and I'll show you someone who's mildly humorous. You have to push the envelope. I'm not talking about swearing. I'm not talking about the obvious sexual side of things, which is taboo.
Sure.
But why use bad language? When you can be funny without it.
Clever, yeah.
And unfortunately, that's one of the things that a lot of comedians will talk about, and that is this repression or suppression by the PC Brigade. A lot of it is necessary. And I've been brought up short by my daughter because it's their generation, and I've realised, I shouldn't have said that, but then that was acceptable at the time, as was the time before. I remember as a kid watching Love Thy Neighbour.
Yes, yeah.
And there was Jim Davidson with Chalky White, and it's a lovely Leeds comedian. What was it called? And he was
Charlie Williams.
Charlie.
Yes.
And he used to say, hey, if you don't stop heckling, I'm going to come live next door to you.
Yes.
I mean, funny man.
Yeah.
Bernard Manning, funny man, but it's all subjective.
Yeah.
It's all subjective. So, I mean, the P&O days well and truly over.
Well, for everybody.
Never say never, because I'm hoping that it might take a somersault and go a 360, whereby people say, actually, we'd like to have a laugh rather than be entertained with foul language.
No, totally. It's total talent, isn't it? You kind of think the comedy and impressionist world is in danger if you can't imitate people from other countries and just funny. At the time it's funny. Time's changing.
I think it was there were people that saying that if I did a Liverpudlian accent, that could be construed as racist. But I don't know anybody from Liverpool who would be that uptight and that anal retentive. Say, excuse me, mate, I think you're being dead racist there. No, it's like you do somebody from Wales, or you do someone from Scotland, or you do someone. I mean, Bradford even. If you do someone from Bradford, just up the road.
Yes.
It could be considered as racist, but I just call it areaist.
An aerialist, that's what you do up in the hang glider, isn't it?
Yeah, but anyway, that was my stab at it. That was my theory.
Oh, it's crazy, but
unfortunately, it's one of those things, Stevie.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, and it's something we live with. And as with life, as with art, you have to move forward. Otherwise, we stagnate.
Oh, controversial.
I'm glad I got to work with you on a cruise finally, because 22 years doing it, and I never seen you, and then I saw you on one of my last cruises. It was brilliant to see you in that time.
Oh, but then fair dues. I mean, you've been holding your own on cruises, and as I've always maintained, you're only as good as your last gig. Yeah. And you've been doing so well.
Thank you.
You've been doing so well. You're taking on the chin.
Yeah.
Not because you have.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. And I think it's because
it's only words.
we always bump into each other, whether it's on the phone or doing a season or you doing TV shows. But I stumbled upon some prints that you've done, some really beautiful originals. And I saw a Charlie Chaplin that you did, and I kindly have one in my possession now, which is framed. And
bless you.
Since then,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I've seen some incredible portraits and paintings from your work. Lovely paintings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tommy Cooper.
A lot of my work, I consider it like manure. It's not much use until you spread it around.
But so we're going from Peter Piper, which I know you very well as Peter Piper, doing the seasons in the Ron Lucas show. But Graham Heywood is the man that's created these beauties, isn't he? And have you been doing a lot of artwork in lockdown 1, 2, and 3?
I've got to be honest, no. And then, but you've actually, I've picked up the pen again because my agent Phil, he's been saying I've been getting some interest off certain luminaries, and he's creating a groundswell of interest. And I'm actually talking to you from my studio, which was in the conservatory, but it's too bloody cold, so I moved it to my daughter's bedroom because she's at university.
Yeah.
I suppose that's me trying to be close to her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, as you know, your children.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I've only got the one miracle.
I know. I've actually come into the other room to get away from mine. I've been there all day.
You're very blessed, mate. You really are.
Oh, I know.
I'm sketching out this. It's an acrylic that I'm doing of an elephant as I'm talking to you. So I just keep looking at the picture, listening to you. That's why I'm.
Did you start sketching that when we started talking? And do you see me as an elephant, or is this an ongoing project that you've been doing already?
No, it's to remind me not to forget.
That's clever. I like that.
Yeah.
That's nice. Don't forget to finish it.
I've been picking up the brush and the
brilliant
and the pens, and I've just done a picture for a guy who mended my bike. And he's such a nice fella that, as I say, I tend to give a lot of stuff away, either in cards.
Yeah.
For people who don't expect it.
Sure.
Like yourself.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful for that.
Very appreciative, and it's the reaction that I get. I remember this lovely lady, and she's just brilliant, Bridget. She's brilliant. And her father, who was this ex-Special Arms Services killer.
Wow.
Thank God I got on well with him. And I gave him a picture of his doggy, which had departed many years ago. But nevertheless, and it's the reaction when he curled over and gripped it to his chest.
Oh.
And you could have heard a penny drop, and I had to kind of
depict it
prick the balloon and just say, bloody hell, mate, it's not that bad, to which everybody then laughed. And the same when I did it for another guy, it was just so kind and helpful, so giving.
Yes.
He did the same thing. His name is Stuart, and he suffers a lot with physical
disability, yeah.
But he's such a nice fella, and I thought I've got to do something for him because he's so giving, and you can get people that just take off people like that. But I did him this picture of his doggy, and he did exactly the same thing, and that chokes me up. But words, the words are nice, but action speaks so much louder.
Definitely, yeah. I know exactly what you mean. That is wonderful. I received mine, and my reaction was very favourable as well. I was so chuffed to get the Charlie Chaplin because I love Charlie, and I know that you've signed the painting. It's a wonderful, wonderful print. So, is there anywhere in the future do you think, Graham, that you will be selling these, or will people be able to request some from you, because it's a great way of earning?
It's like you saw some tweeting today, which I thought would come from birds, and I'm sure it's the oldest joke. But I don't do Twitter, I don't tweet. But Phil, he's got people like Joanna Lumley and Cosmo and Fraser Hines, and he's just put it in front of them. They've really been blown away by it, and I find it so difficult to believe. I just do, but he's getting like a groundswell.
Yeah, sure.
Of interest built up, and he will do it slowly, and that's what he does. And so I'll let him do what he does, and if I can make a bit of pocket money, nothing like show business, but if we can make a bit of pocket money, then I'm
Yeah, I
I'd
believe.
be grateful.
I believe this last one was the Joker, wasn't it? Was it the Joker? It was just a wonderful painting.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I
incredible.
had somebody come on and say, "Can I buy it?" And I said, "Well, I was going to sell it in the exhibition, which didn't happen for obvious reasons."
Right.
And he said, "Well, would you do as a print?" So I've gone to it's called a G-clay. Instead of having 3 colours, it uses 7 colours.
Okay.
And it's done on rather thick watercolour paper.
Yes.
So I'll do like a limited edition of about, I don't know, 3.
Yeah.
No, 4. Not 3 or 400, just 3 or 4, because...
Okay. That is limited.
I don't know, I tend to be rather too modest because I don't want people to perceive that I'm a big head. I'll leave that to the stage. Which way you get paid for showing off.
Yeah.
But with art, it's incredibly personal, and it's something that I've always done, but I made a commitment to turn up at an empty page every other day a few years back, and it's, as Arnold Palmer said, was very famously quoted, it's surprising, the more I practice, the luckier I get. And it's like the more I turn up at an empty page, the more resemblance and satisfaction I get from the eventual image. And so I'm grateful to that. And my daughter, that I used to paint with when she was a little girl, she's taken on board, and she's just got a really good talent, but she's streets ahead of me because she's aware of colour mixing and composition and stuff like that. So with me, I learned pretty late on in life after tearing up lots of paper and sketches when I was her age, because I just didn't know. I wasn't bothered to know. So it was my loss.
Yeah.
But I'm getting great satisfaction out of spending hours in lockdown, not every day.
Yeah.
Because I help out at this local homeless charity called the Wellspring.
Oh, okay.
And that takes me head falling off.
Yeah.
You know, and the cracks there is brilliant, but we can't mix with the guys that we used to be able to mix with because of the obvious.
Sure.
And so we have to sort them out via the spit window, so it's called.
Okay, yeah.
And give them what they need. But it's so well supported, and it stops me from feeling sorry for myself, which I'm pretty good at.
Well, you're giving back, though, aren't you? You're giving back, which is so important, and hopefully therapeutic for yourself as well, and not just in the painting, but at the shelter. It does feel good to give back, and because
sure it does.
you know,
sure it does. It feels great. You know, I'm not doing it to be, aren't you a good person?
No,
no. Please, I want to go to heaven. But I'm doing it because it just keeps me sane and keeps it real. You know, what am I moaning about? I'm sat in a warm house with food and electricity, and it's a lottery who you're born onto. And so, name me one family that isn't dysfunctional, but there's others, man oh man.
Yeah.
We're so lucky. And I know that your mum and dad, they're characters.
they're real people,
They're real people.
Yeah.
And so you're brought up.
Dysfunctional.
Yeah. As I say, it's a lottery who we're born to.
Of course.
You were lucky, mate. You were lucky.
I am lucky. My parents are wonderful. They've been great to me all my life, so it's, very lucky to have siblings.
Yeah, you eat what you sow, mate.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. Well, Graham, Peter Piper, I've had a wonderful time catching up with you and reminiscing. I hope you didn't mind reminiscing with me, because it's not always good to look back, because we miss people that are not there anymore. But the memories, I think, in the times like this, in the lockdown, is one of the things that have kept me going. But to catch up with friends has been important as well. So thank you so much for being on Eyes and Teeth.
Oh, you're welcome, mate. You're welcome.
Eyes and Teeth.
Thanks to Peter and Graham for sharing those moments. It was great to talk about our history. If you would like to find out where his next pantomime is going to be, see his showreel and hear his voiceovers, you can view this all on his Spotlight profile, and you can find this on spotlight.com or through qtalent.co.uk. If you would like to check out and fall in love with his paintings, then you can find him at www.facebook.com/Peter Piper's World. Today's comedy quote comes from John Cleese. A man will give up almost anything except his suffering. You don't have to be the Dalai Lama to tell people that life's about to change. He who laughs most learns best. Comedy always works best when it's mean-spirited. Eyes and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett. Vocals by Lola, Nina and Larissa Hewlett. Additional vocals by Rich T. The Eyes and Teeth music and jingles are all produced and performed by the one and only cosmic Mr. Kevin Dean. Join me next time on Eyes and Teeth when I speak to a fellow funny Britain's Got Talent comedian, the hilarious Noel James.